Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining and welcome back. Our guest today is a very, very good friend of mine, David Morgan from the Morgan Report. David, welcome back, sir.
Ivan, it's good to be back. Thank you.
Yeah, huge pleasure having you come down. I wanted to get you down and talk about everything that's happening in the silver and the gold markets right now, the financial markets. There's so much talk online about, what's happening with gold prices, what's happening with silver, when is silver going to take off, gold hitting new all-time highs this year. What are your thoughts on silver and gold in 2025?
Well, I just finished the May edition of the Morgan Report, and in there I went through the editorial. I have a small staff, and they help me, write the report every month. But I always do the editorial, which is kind of the big picture. I call it opening thoughts, and usually in there I go through varying things. But this month I chose to kind of go through the inflation or hyperinflation versus deflation debate, and it really isn't clear yet. Well, I did say, and this is answering your question directly, I think gold is actually going to take a pause here. I see gold going sideways in a trading range for the whole summer. And, could I be wrong? Of course. Could I be right? We'll see. Right now, the old adage, sell in May and come back after Labor Day, appears to be holding. Silver, on the other hand, and platinum, palladium as well, are really undervalued relative to gold. And I think they may play catch up to a certain extent. How much remains to be determined. And even if that assumption is correct or valid, needs to be proven. But they are really value compared to gold. And I think that it won't take much buying power for any of those metals to start to move. And we just saw a pretty good move in the white metals today as we're doing this interview. So my take is the bull market isn't over. Gold needs a pause. The whites need to catch up to the yellow here, and probably will do so. Whether it's going to be this summer or there sometime thereafter, I'm not sure. I would like to see them start to narrow the gold silver ratio, the platinum gold ratio, uh, as soon as possible. That's what I'd like to see.
Yeah.
I really do think you might start to see it fairly soon. Technically, we had a breakout today in silver, but one day doesn't make a market. I don't put a lot into that. I use at least 3 days if I'm trading. So I think I've answered the question. I think the main thing is to remember is this: in a strong bull market, the bull will shake off as many people as it possibly can. So
Right.
there will be times where we get these big down moves in gold. People get disgusted to get in late, or a lot of our peer group is saying it's not too late to get into gold. And I think they're right. But if they get in at 3,300, and then by the end of the summer, gold's at 3,000, they're not going to be happy. Most investors, especially when they're not seasoned investors, have an immature attitude. They think the day they buy a stock, it should start going up the next day, or the day they make their gold purchase, it should start moving forward the next day. And that's just not how the world works. That's why I really advocate dollar cost averaging. If you want a bull market, average in to the market on the way up.
Hmm.
And that, when the price in gold goes down, let's go that 3,300 to 3,000. And let's say you buy X amount or 1/12 X every month for a year to average in. So when it's at 3,300, you're buying less gold because the price is higher. But when the price goes from 3,300 to 3,000, you're buying more gold because the price has dropped. And that's if you dollar cost average, meaning you put in the same amount of Canadian dollars every month, basically at the same time. But it's a good way to instill discipline in your investment mentality. And most people that make good sums of money over the long term accomplish it by having discipline.
Absolutely, David. And now, in a doomsday scenario, let's say this year, hypothetically, you see a bank run, US dollar collapses, stock market is going down, people are losing faith in the US dollar, and you only have silver and gold left. How do you build a community? What's your doomsday scenario look like? What is your first three things that you're doing, David, in your community or yourself?
Well, the first thing is it's everything's a people business, really. So to build a community, you better start ahead of time. I mean, you can start after the fact, but that would be more difficult because there'd be a lot of mistrust not only in the marketplace that it's failed, but people will be, well, how do you know it's real silver? It's not counterfeit, and those type of questions.
Right.
So really, you'd want to reach out ahead of time. But if you didn't, it's it is building trust. It's open communication. So it starts with the three I would say is this is off the top of my head, but number one is sincerity in all that you do, and that first one would be communication.
Yeah.
Second one would be uh, to hear all voices, but you'd have to have, in my opinion, like a group of elders or someone, not necessarily a dictatorship, but someone that's going to take the lead or elected democratically. It's hard to say, but you can't, you got to steer the boat. Somebody's got to be the captain. So you got to communicate that fact, let the people decide. And then you've got to work together for a common goal. And the common goal is determined under the conditions. So if the conditions are you're living on a river, then water isn't going to be your primary, concern. You're living in the Midwest and there's only, underground water and you're on an aquifer and there's really very few hand pumps, that would be the main concern. So you'd have to outline in a calm, cool manner what are the priorities and make a list. And I wouldn't say you necessarily have to vote on it. But I really, I don't see that scenario, but it could happen. I think it's really good to ask the question. The reason I say that is, again, as you've heard me say, because you know me a while, one of my favorite expressions or quotes, chance favors the prepared mind. If
Yeah.
you prepared yourself for that ahead of time and it never happens, okay, fine. But if you haven't prepared ahead of time on a thought experiment, you could go into panic mode, and that is not going to serve anyone.
Yeah.
That's sort of a fear-based mechanism where, well, I've got what I've got, and I'm going to hold on to it, and I'm going to protect it, and it's all mine, and no. That doesn't work. The guy at the top of the hill with all the stored food and big stack of gold is not going to win this. You've got to build community, you've got to communicate, and you've got to work together. And that takes basically people skills.
Welcome to the Cayman Islands, a premier offshore jurisdiction where natural beauty meets financial stability. Here, your wealth is more than secure. It thrives in one of the most trusted and respected financial centers in the world. For over a decade, SWP has been the trusted choice for precious metal investors worldwide. Our purpose-built 6,000 square foot facility sets a new standard in precious metal storage. We are proud to be one of the only vault operators approved by the London Bullion Market Association. Beyond safeguarding your assets, we're committed to making a difference in our community by supporting local causes and events that reflect our values. As we continue to expand and innovate our services, we ensure that your wealth is safe and strategically positioned to shield you from the uncertainties that lie ahead. Strategic wealth preservation, trusted today and ready for tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, David, what would you say about Trump recently in the past month or so? He's been talking about, he even posted on his platform that he did a post and it was a quote that whoever holds the gold makes all the rules. What are your thoughts on Trump talking about precious metals? He even talked about silver recently. What do you make of it?
Not much. I mean, first of all, I really don't know what to make of it. I mean, the man is an enigma. He's very difficult to figure out. But when he says he who owns gold makes the rules, that's an old adage. He posted it. That's fine. A lot of us agree with that. But you have to put that into the background. If we're going to find out how much gold is at Fort Knox, Elon and I are interested in what happened to that,
Yeah, it
I mean,
disappeared.
anyone with integrity or high character would be, pursuant to what they said earlier. Let's say they decided not to investigate Fort Knox. At least have the integrity to come to the, not only the American people, but it's a worldwide thing.
Right.
We have decided not to investigate Fort Knox because XYZ, but they just drop it. So I don't add much credence to too much of what comes out. I look at hyperbole, rhetoric, um, spur of the moment. I don't really think much. Now, some of my friends in the industry that I really respect think that it's an analogy, a metaphor for us moving closer to a precious metals revaluation and
Right.
or monetary system. I
Right.
wouldn't rule that out. But that's not how I see it. I see it more as not even a trial balloon, just as something that was fun to tweet out at the time. Could there be something behind it? You bet. And I'll go one step further because this occurred to me. But one of my long-term members who, some people I get to meet, some I don't. I'd like to meet everyone that ever, subscribed to, listened to me, wanted to talk to me. But this particular gentleman said, and he's picked up on, I think, what I've said, others have said it, but nothing happens in the government until they deny it 3 times. And he said that, Bassett has basically denied that they're going to put gold into the system now. He needs to deny it a couple more times. What do you think? Maybe the Mar-a-Lago Accord is going to come in. And,
Yeah.
I had to give that some thought, and I wanted to voice it on your show, Ivan, because I do think that way, that, we're never going to touch gold. No, no, no. Well, if they say they're not going to, think the opposite. So I wouldn't rule it out. I don't see it, um, other than a last resort. I'll just repeat what I've said. I haven't said this for a while. Jim Sinclair gets the credit. He and Bill Holter stated, and I think Bill went along with it, or maybe Bill thought of it, but they combined thought that the new monetary system, once a reset takes place, will be with an unbacked modern money theory, print all you want, it doesn't matter, digital currency. And that will fail. And
Right.
upon failure of that, they will tie it to gold. That makes sense to me. So, in that context, I think it is a greater possibility than just right off the bat.
Hello, my fellow silver and gold stacker. I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching the channel. Subscribe, please like the video, and also hit the notification bell. Keep stacking. Yeah, absolutely, David. The way I see it is like how, the whole system, the fiat system, the only reason or the only power that the US have is, having like to go to war, to print unlimited money is to not have it backed by gold and connected to gold. So that's all their power. Why would they get rid of that in a fiat currency where they can print unlimited money, fiat, the illusion when they can, but you're absolutely right. Like, yeah, if they do roll out a cryptocurrency, it fails, people have no faith in it, like they have no faith in the fiat currency, then they'll tie it to gold, then for sure you can have some type of trust. But yeah, who knows how that will play out.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, David, I want to thank you so much for joining us and speaking to the whole community. Every time you come on, you fill us with a wealth of knowledge. Before you go though, I really want people to connect with you. I'm going to put your links in the description below. Everyone watching, I highly recommend please go check out David. But where can they find you, David?
Well, if you go to the main website, themorganreport.com, you can get on our free email list. I put out probably 2 or 3 things for the public every week. And on top of that, we have direct links at the very top right-hand side of the website. There's an icon for YouTube, for X, for LinkedIn, and I think even Facebook, which have a very mild presence on Facebook. So you can just click those icons. It should be and jump right into Twitter and, follow me on Twitter, follow me on LinkedIn if you're so inclined, or even on YouTube. So that's probably the best way. One last thing, I just want to remind everyone that we're finally editing the documentary silversunrise.tv. Check out
Nice.
that URL, watch some of the trailers. The great G. Edward Griffin that wrote Creature from Jekyll Island is in the movie, along with some other notables in the hard money space and other arenas that are pertinent to the failure of the fiat system and what we can do about it.
You heard him yourself, folks. Silversunrise.tv. Please check it out. Please check out David Morgan and the Morgan Report. And David, such a huge, huge pleasure having you come down to the community to speak to everyone. And as always, really would love to have you back on in the future.
Thank you, Evan. Appreciate
Talk
it.
talk to you soon.